Microsoft announced that starting sometime in November, Xbox Cloud Gaming will support streaming games that you own but that are not included in the Game Pass library, something that is not possible at the moment for whatever reason. But what is the state of Xcloud currently? Is it any good? Is it as amazing as Microsoft is claiming? How does it fare compared to other cloud gaming services? To answer those questions, I spent hundreds of hours testing and comparing Xcloud to other cloud gaming services, and the results are, well, unexpected. For this review to make sense, I thought that I should compare Xcloud to its direct console competitor, PlayStation Plus Cloud Gaming. But then I quickly realized that was like comparing two pieces of poop and deciding which one smells better. So, because Amazon Luna isn't available where I live, because Shadow PC is too expensive for gamers, and because, well, I completely forgot about Boosteroid, I ended up adding Geforce Now in the mix. And boy oh boy do I not regret that decision. I evaluated each service according to availability, in-game graphics and latency, user experience, and price. And because I am an engineer who knows how to scientifically and definitively prove a point, I prepared some nice tables to show you that PlayStation Cloud is crap, Xbox Cloud is crap, and Geforce Now is fucking amazing. When it comes to availability, PlayStation Plus Cloud is only available on PlayStation and Windows PCs, which clearly indicates that Sony doesn't really care or want to expand its audience beyond console players using this service, which is the complete opposite philosophy of Xbox with its cloud gaming service. It has native app support on Android, Windows, and obviously Xbox consoles. But because it is also accessible on modern internet browsers, it is theoretically available on any compatible device and platform out there except, PlayStation and Nintendo. Geforce Now does even better, with the native app available on even more platforms, in addition to being also accessible via internet browsers. But of course, it isn't officially supported on Linux machines, so
Nvidia, fuck you.
Now, let's dive into in-game graphics and latency. I need to preface this by saying that I have a very good and stable internet connection. I have 1 GB up and down, in theory. I also try to perform my tests late at night so that there isn't too much internet traffic. In short, I tried my best to be fair and put all the contenders in the best situation possible. So any discrepancy you will see is from the cloud service and not because of the variability or the quality of my internet connection. But of course, these results reflect my experience. Yours might be different depending on your internet speed and stability. As to the results, well, you can judge the results by yourself. It's a clean sweep for Geforce Now. It basically blows the other two services out of the water, and it's not even close, especially if you opt for the ultimate subscription, like I did. 4K resolution, RTX visual treatment, HDR, high frame rate, excellent streaming quality, you name it, Geforce Now has it. It's worth noting though that the PlayStation Plus Cloud service fares way better than Xcloud here, which is extremely weird considering Mr. Phil Spencer stated time and time again that cloud gaming is the future of gaming for the Xbox platform. Well, not that Microsoft is not used to having great ideas, but then screwing them up with poor technical implementation. Which is exactly what they did here by choosing the Series S Silicon as opposed to the Series X to power their cloud gaming service, effectively ensuring that a cloud gamer would get a much inferior experience compared to a normal console player. I have also to address something about the PlayStation Plus service. The rendering resolution and quality on PC are limited to that of a PlayStation 4, while the PlayStation 5 quality is only available if you are cloud gaming on a PlayStation 5. What the
Ooh la la!
fuck? Why would you do that? Going into this, I was expecting latency to be an issue, and it certainly was for the Sony and Microsoft services. But in the case of Geforce Now, I was shocked by how little input lag there is. I have no scientific means to test this, so I can only attest to my subjective and, of course, very accurate perception. I tried slow story-driven games, racing games, and even FPSs, and what can I say? Latency was only noticeable when gaming on my phone using mobile network. As long as the device I used was connected either via an Ethernet cable or 5 GHz Wi-Fi network, no latency or input lag. The user experience is hands down smoother and more straightforward on PlayStation Plus Cloud and Xcloud. You basically select a game and play it. And even though the number of games available is limited compared to Geforce Now, the major heavy hitters and exclusives are included in both cases. But what Geforce Now concedes in terms of user friendliness, it more than compensates for with the support for third-party libraries like Steam, Epic, EA, Ubisoft, and even Xbox Game Pass, which is just great. It is also the only service out of the three which allows you to adjust the streaming quality as well as resolution and other in-game settings. But despite that, its main downside is the unavailability of games like God of War, Armored Core, and Titanfall 2, to name a few. I am tempted to say that this is not Nvidia's fault and probably due to some licensing considerations from the publishers, but I am not so sure. Cost might seem to be the easiest and most obvious criteria to evaluate, but actually it turned out to be the trickiest. I could have looked at the monthly cost of the subscription and called it a day, but that didn't feel right, because that would have been like not assessing the actual value that one gets by paying for the service. So after ruminating on this for a few days, I had this idea. Cloud gaming is basically like renting your gaming rig, whether it's a console or a PC. Therefore, the calculation of the value for money should be based on the price of the hardware the service allows you to use. Even better, how long it would take you to buy said hardware if you were to just save the cost of the subscription. Yes, sure, I don't really take into account the potential reselling value, but I don't really think that's relevant because that's just a ratio in the case of electronics, and one could argue that the reselling value is in part offset by inflation, obsolescence, and other considerations, so let's keep it simple. For Sony, I will be considering the PlayStation 5 Digital Edition as the target hardware. For Microsoft, it will be the Xbox Series S, and for Geforce Now, it will be a high-end gaming PC equipped with a Ryzen 7800 and RTX 4080. And before you start yelling that games are included in the monthly subscription for Xcloud and PlayStation Cloud, which is not the case with Geforce Now, yes, I have factored in the cost of a PC Xbox Game Pass subscription in addition to the ultimate subscription to Geforce Now. So, with all that said, what does applying this idea show us? On one hand, well, it basically highlights how Sony and especially Xbox, and there is no nice way to put this, are straight scamming their subscribers. The only way to access the cloud service is to subscribe to the highest tier of PlayStation Plus and Game Pass. For that money, you get a weirdly limited usability with the Sony service and an inferior visual experience with Xcloud. If you were to save that money, it would take you 15 months to buy a Series S and about 2 years to buy a PlayStation 5 Digital Edition. Nvidia, on the other hand, well, it offers by far the best value for money, given that you get to play your games on a high-end gaming PC that would otherwise cost you thousands of dollars and 6 years of savings. I will not expand too much on the PlayStation Plus cloud gaming because clearly Sony is using cloud gaming as a luxury convenience addition for their wealthier players, meaning wealthy enough to pay for the highest PlayStation Plus subscription tier. What I will do, however, is elaborate a bit on Xcloud, because that was the point of the video. In my opinion, Microsoft and Xbox look at cloud gaming mainly as the poor man's choice. You don't have to have the best internet connection to access the service and play. You don't even need to own an Xbox console. Their cloud gaming is built around the idea of being the lowest and cheapest entry point to their gaming ecosystem. That would have been better served if they had a specific cloud-only Game Pass tier. But unfortunately, at the time of recording this video, you have to get the highest and most expensive tier of subscription, the famous Ultimate, to enjoy Xcloud. A bit confusing, especially considering that in my case, Xcloud was clearly the technically inferior and, dare I say, worst experience even compared to Sony's cloud service, making players pay for the highest subscription tier to access the most inferior gaming experience doesn't make sense in my opinion. What I can say, however, in case you haven't noticed yet, is that I am extremely impressed by Nvidia's service. It sometimes felt surreal to be able to play my favorite games on my phone or my TV or my old HTPC with, I must stress this out, almost zero latency at the highest frame rate at the highest graphical fidelity. So, to sum it up, what started as a review of Xcloud turned out to be the most time-consuming video I have ever created so far. But I regret none of it. Why? Because it allowed me to try Geforce Now and experience for myself how fucking amazing that service is. In my opinion, Geforce Now is the benchmark of cloud gaming, and that's why I have been using it for the past few months to satisfy my gaming addiction, and intend to continue doing so for the time being, which probably means that there will be a follow-up video about this in the future. So like and subscribe if you are interested.